Hey, we're back to rollerblade kayaking. Only this time we're going to have a completely different environment. Well, let's see, what are we up to? I is here, and then I'm going down here. So let's start skating and see what happens. Now, to be honest, if I'm rollerblading, I have to be in an urban environment because, you know, what do you need to rollerblade? Bike path. But lucky for me, not only have I found a bike path to rollerblade on, but look up ahead. It's a river. In this case, the South Platte River. Colorado, being a semi-arid environment, hoards its water wherever it can. For instance, as I go along this river, now there's a lot of these little reservoirs here and there. Look, there's another one off in the distance between those trees over there. Okay, one advantage of rollerblading up here is I get to scout out the river on my way out. And that, I can make it through that, no problem. Going to the far left, that should be fine. Oh, and what do we see in the distance? That's downtown Denver. This might be more exciting than I thought. But some more scouting out of the river. I'm definitely going to go between those two rocks because everything else looks like rip your boat open and walk home from there kind of material. Okay, according to that sign, it's gone a little over 2.5 miles. So far, scouting the river has been pretty easy. The rule of thumb is stay to my right as I descend. All right, it looks like this one I'm going to go just slightly left to center, but everything's passable so far. I might ask a local for instructions, though. Hold on. Dude, which way should I go? Guy's not saying anything. All right, never mind. You know, I was really just expecting a float, but there is going to be some white water. I definitely want to, as I come down, stay left under that bridge. So it's left, center, and then the bottom is right. And then I think there's a dam that I just have to walk around. Here's another one, got to go between the rocks, I guess. All right, this is definitely my longest rollerblade kayaking shuttle. Yep, I'm at the over 4 mile mark now. Okay, it says wheelchair accessible. These are wheels, it's not a chair. All right, that worked. Back on the trail. Man, it was hot inside of that thing. See, there it is, the 5 mile mark. I think I'm gonna look for a spot. Oh, directly below this thing, because I ain't going over that. All right, rollerblades are coming off. Yeah, I see there's 2 rocks, but I'm not going down that thing. I think that's called Dave's Waves. If it was called Bill's Waves, maybe I'd do it, but anyway, all right, let's find a place to put in now. Well, you know, there's lots of recreational infrastructure, like the path, trash can, mileage sign. But for people who want to Portage around this fall, really no accommodation made for that. Okay, just a tad of editorializing here. You know, you think for public safety, you know, you don't want your average person going over that fall, and if they give us a better place to put in than this, but I guess this is all we get. You know, there's money for some things in this society, but there's not money for other things. One should ponder this. All right, we're all ready to go. Let's jump in the boat and see what happens. So after 5 miles of skating, I'm going to enjoy this part where basically I sit on my butt, because I don't think I have anything too exciting to go through for a little while. So here we are. urban kayaking through northern Denver. Here's our first mini rapid. I think our chances of surviving are going to be at least 50-50. Yeah, there we go. We won't run into that rock over there. We should be good. Yeehaw! You know, I'm taking inventory of what things I'll be able to do how late in life. And one thing's for sure is the rollerblading is going pretty soon. I mean, you get old and frail, and how much of a fall do you need to take on those things before you're all goofed up? This, however, boating, oh, I could get pretty old and crusty and still find a river to float down. Yeah, I'm getting all sorts of warning signs along the river here about low, inspect before using. Okay, well, I just went through probably the most exciting part there, but the phone decided not to turn on. But almost went through it the wrong way, but figured it out at the last moment. A little bit more about absolutely freaking useless warning signs. They tell you to get out on the embankment where there's bushes and there's no place to get out. What it really needs to tell you is that the center channel is where you can get through and the rest of it isn't. That would be a useful warning sign, unlike the unuseful warning signs, which weren't there to help people, but to exonerate people from risk, according to risk management lawyers. All right, it's taking a little break to pour some water out of the boat, and then let's get back in, do some more floating. The most exciting bit is yet to come. There's another one of these caution signs. Luckily for me, I looked at this on the way up the path, and I know that I need to go to the left down here, because the sign will probably just say, caution, rather than what to do. Like, I stand corrected. This sign is actually useful. It tells you only to go through this bay, which I guess this section of the bridge is what they're actually talking about. Whitewater fun, here we come. Funny thing about rivers is that the time on the river always seems longer than it should be. Now I know I've got a couple of these little rapids to go through, and then maybe a dam that I'll have to walk over, but feels like I should have been there already. Here's a electrical line dangling in the water right here. So you can use that to charge your phone if you run out of charge on the trip. Yup, definitely urban. Like, what are these buildings about? There's pipes over there. There's some squealy noise happening in the distance, which I have to say is really in contrast to the river itself. Is placid and beautiful and flowing, but these things that we built around it are kind of creepy. Catalpa tree. When I was a kid, built a tree fort in one of those things. We used to call it the green bean tree because all those pods look like great big green beans to our little kid minds. All right, we're doing a little portage around this dam because I don't want to just paddle up to it and find out that it's impassable. So we got the boat out. We're gonna hike around. Then we're gonna have a little short section to paddle again, and then we're gonna be done. So let's go see what the dam's like. Maybe I'm overreacting and I could paddle through it, but I don't know. Yeah, that would have been a big mistake. And by the way, do you see any warning signs on the river before this thing? No, nope. Look at that. All right, let's find a place to put in our boat and finish this off. All right, I think I can get back in here. And there it is, the final bridge. Off to the left on that road is where I left my car.